How's it going, everyone? It is Skullzi here with the latest and the greatest gaming news. Today I want to talk about a recent discovery that I made regarding a new MMORPG that the makers of The Elder Scrolls Online are working on right now. This game has been in development for at least 2 to 4 years now, and based upon the information that I discovered, they seem to be paying particular attention to making this game a cinematic experience. And while we have absolutely no idea what style of game this MMORPG could be, this discovery is the first real shred of information that we could use to base future speculation off of. And remember, most of the discussion in this video is exactly that, speculation. The only thing that is 100% accurate are the job postings by Bethesda themselves that we will be breaking down to get this information from. So go into your kitchen, grab that grain of salt, and bring it back to this video before moving forward. And as always, we're going to be breaking this situation down together, that way you can see that my bullshit capacity meter is always running at 0%, and that way you can have all the links and stuff to verify this information for yourself if you choose to. And we're going to start our adventure right here at all the recent job postings listed within the last week by Bethesda Softworks. You can see there is a lot of stuff here, everything from Bethesda Game Studios to Zenimax Online Studios, and some of these job postings I already broke down in previous videos. Other postings are reposts that have been reposted over and over again for some time now. However, today we're going to be paying particular attention to these two job listings right here. The first is for a senior cinematics designer, and the second a lead gameplay camera designer. Both of these job postings are for Zenimax Online Studios, the studio behind The Elder Scrolls Online, not to be confused with Bethesda Game Studios, the makers of Skyrim, who had absolutely nothing to do with ESO basically at all except for some minimal lore oversight. Real quick, the fact that the game's camera and in-game cinematics are still being worked on right now is a sure sign that we most likely won't be hearing anything about this game for at least another year or two. MMORPGs tend to be pretty massive games, so they usually take a lot longer to develop, especially when you consider the supposed unique camera vision mentioned within the job postings. Zenimax has apparently something special in mind when it comes to the camera in this game, and that kinda has my hype assuming a little bit of that direct control. To break down these job postings, let's head over to the official Bethesda website. You can see there are a lot of interesting job postings for Zenimax Online Studios over here as well, along with these two listings that we are focusing on in today's video. Let's start with the lead gameplay camera designer. Thanks to Google, we can discover that both of these job listings were originally posted 4 days ago, so they are both pretty new and still quite relevant. The overview for the lead gameplay camera designer is as follows. Zenimax Online Studios is seeking a lead gameplay camera designer to join our studio for the development of our next AAA game. This is a chance to join an experienced group of developers in pre-production for a new IP. In this role, you will collaborate closely with the art director, lead designer, and the combat and level designer teams to implement the unique camera vision of our game. There it is right there, unique camera vision. The primary focus of this role will be the creation of in-game, player-controlled cameras and supporting development pipelines. You will also push the boundaries of your craft by exploring the latest emerging trends and creating solutions hand-tailored to player and business needs. The qualifications are the usual thing that you'd expect for a job listing like this. Nothing really stands out here other than that this game will be 3D and won't be some kind of 2D game, which isn't what we were expecting anyway, but that's just a good sign. And also by the responsibilities right here, we can see that this in-game camera will be unique and will change depending on what you're doing in the game, which is normal, but it does show that this in-game camera system is one of the particular main focuses of Zenimax Online Studios. And normally it would just, be a normal thing to have a gameplay camera designer come along and make a decent camera system for your game, especially when it comes to online games, because the cameras are kind of stale and feel a little outdated in most MMORPGs. I mean, they work, but they don't feel modern anymore, if you know what I'm saying. However, it seems that Zenimax Online Studios is going to make a very unique camera style for not only the game like itself, but gameplay, actual gameplay. And paired alongside this job posting is another one that paints a very clear picture into exactly what Zenimax Online Studios has in mind for this game, at least in terms of camera design. And this is the senior cinematics designer. Right away, what might come to mind when you hear senior cinematics designer is they're making a cinematic trailer for this game. However, that is actually surprisingly not the case here. We probably won't see a trailer for this game for some time, but the overview of this job posting is as follows. Zenimax Zenimax Online Studios is seeking a senior cinematics designer to join our studio for the development of our next AAA game. This is a chance to join an experienced group of developers in pre-production for a new IP. You can see it says pre-production, so it's probably going to be maybe more like 3 to 4 years before we hear about this game. Maybe we'll get like a teaser or a cinematic trailer in the next year or two, but that's speculation for a different video. The overview continues by saying this role will work closely with narrative designers and gameplay content designers in creating in-game cinematics and player-driven conversations with cinematic quality presentation. That proves there will be some kind of dialogue in this game with a very good cinematic alongside the in-game dialogue options. That's pretty hype and kind of reminds me of like BioWare style conversations in game. So whatever this RPG is, at least we know that there will be dialogue choices in the game as well. I wonder if we're going to have a voiced protagonist or how that's going to work. Maybe it's going to be kind of like the Knights of the Old Republic MMORPG. The overview continues by saying a developer in this role is responsible for scene choreography, camera setup, and some lighting setup for player-driven conversations and in-game cinematics. The senior cinematics designer will execute upon existing storyboards. Additionally, a developer in this role will help define the tools and workflow needs for creating cinematics and player-driven conversations in a new industry-leading game engine. Now, that's kind of huge right there. A new industry-leading game engine. I wonder what this game engine is going to be that Zenimax Online Studios is going to use. I mean, we haven't really seen any new next-gen game engine showcases from Zenimax or any studios from Bethesda Softworks except for Orion and some stuff from id Studios, so I am definitely hyped not only for this camera stuff, but also for this next-gen game engine that's going to be used for this MMORPG. Surely it can also be tailored and used for single-player games as well. I wonder if Bethesda Game Studios is going to make use of any of this, but I'm sure that they have their own next-gen version of the creation engine already finished and being used for Starfield and The Elder Scrolls 6. Now, the responsibilities says some stuff that makes this situation get even more interesting. You can see down here, it says, choreograph and sequence actors and props within player-driven conversations, implement player-driven conversations into gameplay story moments, work with narrative directors in presenting characters and emotional moments using cinematic techniques, and help determine the tools, needs, and optimal workflow for implementing cinematic moments. This is crazy. This sounds like in-game player conversations somehow will be showcased to the player in a cinematic in-game style camera, which is kind of unique. I just kind of wonder what the rest of the situation involving all that is. I mean, how do these conversations in-game warrant a in-game cinematic? Like, what is this RPG like? What if in-game player conversations are so important that we get like a huge cinematic camera just for this stuff? I wonder what the dynamic actually is. Either way, you can see by these two recent job postings that in-game player-driven cinematics are a prime focus of this game, and it seems the camera is uniquely tailored for this game as well. So although we know practically nothing about this next-gen MMORPG, thanks to these job postings, we now know that this game will have a unique cinematic gameplay experience with a unique in-game cinematic camera style, tailored specifically for this game. And although I am pretty picky when it comes to online games, this game does have my attention because a great camera system can usually make or break an otherwise decent game. And I am also interested in simply seeing what this unique cinematic gameplay camera will look like. It's not often that we get new innovative camera styles in games, especially for player-driven conversations, and most MMORPGs aren't cinematic in nature, let alone having the gameplay actually be cinematic somehow. So I am very intrigued into both what style of RPG game this will actually end up being, and how this unique camera system will look. Most MMORPGs have basically the same outdated camera style, so this could potentially be a breath of fresh air into an otherwise stale and overpopulated game genre. Either way, only time will tell when it comes to what this game actually ends up being. I don't expect to hear more about it until like 2021 or 2022, but I do doubt that the game will be a space game of some kind, seeing how there seems to be a ton of those going down already right now, and Bethesda Game Studios will also most likely, hopefully, finally release Starfield in 2021 as well. I don't think Bethesda would want to have two space-themed games be released from two of their different internal studios around the same time frame, and it is also entirely possible that this game could end up being Spy Team or Giant Monster News. That finishes up today's video though. As always, what I want to know is, what do you think about all of this? What style of MMORPG do you think this game will be? Let me know what you think down in the comments below, and if your comment wins the internet, you may get featured in the future video. Be sure to like this video if you enjoyed the content, and if you want to stay in the know when it comes to the latest gaming news, hit that subscribe button and turn notifications on so you don't miss the latest uploads. Follow me over on Twitter for other news that doesn't quite make it into to my videos as well as channel updates, and check for links down in the description below for the official Skullzi merchandise site, the Skullzi Discord community server, and if you want to have your hand in providing future content, there are links on how to be an exclusive channel member here on YouTube or over on Patreon as well. And as always, thank you for watching. Be sure to tune in next time when Giant Monster News is an open world MMORPG where each player gets to play as a different giant monster, and the goal of the game is to be the player who destroys the most stuff. Heavy Rampage reboot vibes. I would totally dig it.
It just works.